Hello everybody, it's Matt here, the Gaming Bristolian. Today we are going to take a look at my PlayStation 2 collection. I thought before I start I'd just show you my actual PS2. This is the slim model, which I believe came out in 2004, I think. The original model would have come out in the year 2000. What's to say about a PS2? Hugely successful console. Sold about 150 million, which I believe makes it the best-selling console of all time. At a lifespan of about 12, 13 years. Very, very popular. Right, first of all, we have Tekken Tag Tournament. This was a launch game. I'm sure you all know Tekken. Pretty fun little game. It's got a sequel as well on the PS3. Yeah, I do like this. You can swap characters between fights, which I do like. Yeah. Then we got Hyper Street Fighter 2, the Anniversary Edition. This was, well, it's basically a port of Street Fighter 2, but with a lot of bells and whistles and extras, and you can choose which version of each character. Like, you can have Super Street Fighter 2 or Hyper Fighting Street Fighter 2 character. Yes, it's fun. Quite difficult game. I actually find it's more difficult than a lot of other versions of Street Fighter 2, but oh well. Then we have RType Final. For those who don't know RType, it's an old 80s shmup or 2D shooter. This is effectively a modernized for the time version. Looks a lot nicer, but it basically still plays the same. Next we have Soul Calibur 2. Obviously a sequel to the Dreamcast game Soul Calibur, which was itself a sequel to Soul Blade on the PS1. Yeah, really cool game. I do like this 3D weapons-based fighter. Really fun game, whatever you get it on. I do like this a lot. It's worth pointing out as well, PS2 version comes with Henshi from Tekken. The Xbox version comes with Spawn from Spawn. And the GameCube version, which I actually have, has Link from Zelda in it. So you get a different character, or bonus character, depending which version you buy, which I do like. Now we have Gunbird. If you never played Gunbird, it's like a 2D shooter. You get parts 1 and 2 on this. Yeah, this is fine. Your mileage will vary depending on how much you like old 90s arcade shooters, but I have quite a lot of fun with that. Now we got Virtual Fighter 4. Always a big fan of Virtual Fighter. I do like these games. I think my favourite's got to be Virtual Fighter 2, but yeah, this is a cool game as well. Made by Sega, very fast, very like colourful and nice. I like this one a lot. Is Colin McRae Rally 04 or 2004. It's pretty good. You may have played Colin McRae Rally. He was a Scottish rally driver. Yeah, I do like this. Again, your mileage will depend on how much you like rallying, which I do love rallying, so I do enjoy that. Here's Super Monkey Ball Deluxe. If you never played Super Monkey Ball, you basically use little monkeys in plastic balls and you roll around different courses, these small little courses, and you basically tilt the analog stick and it tilts the actual world, and obviously you roll about. A little bit like Marble Madness, but obviously a bit more modern. This has a load of courses from Monkey Ball 1 and 2 on the GameCube, plus a few other extra ones as well. Next we got Silent Scope. This is a port of an arcade game. It's alright. I think the big draw with the arcade version was it had an actual sniper rifle which you look down and you could sort of pick off your targets. Obviously it wasn't in a home version, and without that this just comes off as being, I wouldn't say bad, but just slightly average. Then we got Outrun 2006 Coast to Coast. Really fun game. I love Outrun. Always liked Outrun. Basically driving Ferraris down different routes and things like that. But it's a great game. I find it quite a relaxing game, Outrun, weirdly enough, because you can just sort of pick a car and drive all you want, and it's, you're not really racing other people, you're sort of racing the clock more. But yeah, that is definitely recommended. I think originally Outrun 2 was on the Xbox, and this is that, but with an extra course as well. We got Capcom Classics Collection Volume 2. I do have Volume 1 somewhere. I'm not quite sure where that is at the moment. Yes, it's a compilation of old Capcom arcade games from the 80s and early 90s. Yeah, what you got on there? Super Street Fighter Turbo. Yeah, Strider's amazing game. King of the Dragons, Knights Around. Eco Fighters, a pretty good shooter. Yeah, it's this fun little thing. I think a lot of those have been re-released on multiple different systems. So I think there's like a PS4 Capcom collection as well. And you got Sonic Gems collection, which is, well, a collection of Sonic games. There was an original one which had all the Mega Drive or Genesis Sonic games. This one's got Sonic CD, for Mega CD, or Sega CD if you like. Sonic Fighters, which is a 2D one-on-one fighting game. And Sonic R, which was a racing game, which I believe was on the Saturn originally. I quite like Sonic R, actually. People give it a bit of a bad time, but I had a Saturn version, I got this version. I've always quite enjoyed it. And you got Dead or Alive 2. Yeah, it's quite a fun game. People sort of take a mick out of Dead or Alive because they say, it's just, women in skimpy outfits. Well, yeah, that would slightly prove my point. But yeah, they're always quite well-made games. They look quite nice. They play quite nicely. I do like those. I think I got pretty much every DOA somewhere or another. So yeah, that's enjoyable. Then we got 1945, Part 1 and Part 2. Again, those are old 90s 2D shooter, or shmups if you like. Those are pretty fun. Again, it depends how much you enjoy this genre, but yeah, I quite like this. You got Burnout. Burnout games got really good later on. First Burnout is okay, but it's a little bit rough to go back to now. I think it improved it a lot with the sequels, especially for a second one I love. Yeah, this is alright. Sort of street racing, you're dodging oncoming traffic, and you have to build up your nitrous and that sort of stuff. Talking of which, we got Burnout 2, Point of Impact. Big improvement over the first game. Same sort of thing. I think it's just done a lot better, Arcadey Racer, 10 out of 10. Yeah, that's pretty sweet. Build it in nitrous. I think it's had a 2-player mode as well, which I don't think the original one had. But yeah, this is highly recommended. In fact, I'd say probably most of the Burnouts highly recommended. We also have Burnout Dominator, which I believe was a PSP game originally, and then got ported to the PS2. Again, same sort of thing. Street racing, very fast, very cool. Lots of nitrous and whizzing about a place. Yeah, I do like this. It's also got a crash mode on this version as well, where you're in a car crash. It sounds really weird, but you're in a car crash and you slow motion control your car to try and cause the most damage, like the most financial damage. Which sounds odd, but it's really good fun to play. And we got 007, Agent Under Fire. Obviously a James Bond game. This was, it's pretty fun. It's quite short, but you have first person levels, and then you have an on-rail shooter level, and you have a driving level. Mixes it up a bit. I noticed on the cover as well, I suppose that's meant to be Pierce Bronson, because this would have been a Pierce Bronson era before Daniel Craig done it. It isn't Pierce Bronson in the game, it's basically someone doing an impression of him, and it is quite noticeable when you play it. If you come from watching Bond movies and then you play this, you go, that's just generic English voice. But yeah, anyways. And you got 18-Wheeler, American Pro Trucker, which is a driving game where you drive in, well, large American truck. And it's basically like a timed... Well, you're not racing other people, you're racing like a timer to get to point A to point B before the time runs out. It's alright. It's quite difficult. Well, it's quite short, but they made it quite difficult, so you don't really get through it too quickly. But once you actually get through it, it's like a whole game's like half hour long. So it's a little bit of an odd one. I do remember playing this in the arcade on Weston-super-Mare Pier, and the arcade cabinet is like a full-size American truck, and you've got the big wheel, you've got a huge screamer, seat rumbles, great sound system in it, and you've got the CB radio and like a horn you can use. It's an amazing arcade cabinet. When you strip all that out and you just have a game, it's kind of not quite as impressive, but yeah, it's alright. And we have SSX On Tour, a snowboarding game. There's a couple of those. I think my favourite's probably Tricky, which I think's around here somewhere. Yeah, you basically do tricks, race around the clock, unlock stuff. They're all pretty good, the SSX games. They're kind of recommended. Right, here we have Midway Arcade Treasures. It's basically a compilation of, well, old Midway arcade games, mostly from the 80s. This is alright. There'll be some sequels to this you'll see in a second. What you got on there? Marble Madness, Rampage, let's have a look here. Gauntlet, Defender, Spy Hunter, Paperboy. I remember Paperboy. Yeah, they're good. Again, depends on your tolerance to old arcade games, which I love, but you might not. Then they followed it up with Midway Arcade Treasures 2. I think I prefer this one, mostly because it's got Mortal Kombat on it. Well, it's got Mortal Kombat 2, Mortal Kombat 3. Doesn't have the original Mortal Kombat, oddly enough. Primal Rage is another good one. Pit Fighter. Pit Fighter's not good, but I do enjoy it. It's one of those weird games, you know it's not good, but you can still enjoy it. What else you got on there? Oh, I think Narc. Yeah, Narc's on there. ATB. Yeah, Hard Driving. Yeah, I remember playing Hard Driving a long time ago and being impressed by it. And you replay it now and it looks terrible. But, you know, it's pretty good. And then we have Midway Arcade Treasures 3, which is all racing games. The others are sort of a mix. This is just racing games, this one. Dusty as hell, honestly. Yeah, what you got? Hydro Thunder, Badlands, Race Driving, Super Off-Road. Yeah, this is pretty good. Rush, I think was it Rush 2049? Is that on there? Yeah, 2049's on there. Stunt Runner. Yeah, this is a pretty good game. I do like this one. Again, it's all racing games, all very arcadey racing games, but yeah, it's good. Another compilation, you got the Sega Mega Drive Collection, also known as the Sega Genesis Collection if you're in America. Yeah, this is good. There are probably better Mega Drive compilations later on. I think the PS3 one's really good. Yeah, you got what have you got on there? Sonic, not Sonic 2, bizarrely. Flicky, Bonanza Brothers, Alex Kidd, Echo. Could have done with a few more games. Comic Zone's a pretty sweet game. A weird port of Virtua Fighter 2, Altered Beast, Golden Axe, obviously, yeah. But, yeah, that's pretty good. As I said, better Mega Drive compilations came out after that. Another Sega compilation. We got Sega Classics Collection. Those were a bit odd for me because Outrun, Golden Axe, Space Harrier, Fantasy Zone columns. They're all remakes. They are not the original arcade versions, which I would have preferred. They're these weird sort of 3D remake versions. As far as I know, the only original version is Virtual Racing. I do love Virtual Racing. I'd actually argue it's worth to get this just to get Virtual Racing. But that's just me. Yeah, Outrun, weird car. I don't like anything like a Ferrari. Golden Axe is terrible. And I love the first Golden Axe, but this version, they should have put Revenge of a Death Adder on here instead. I would have preferred that. But yeah, it's okay. If it was the original, would it be a must buy? But it's not. So you know. Next we have Dino Stalker. Dino Stalker is a spin-off of Dino Crisis on the PS1. Well, it's sort of a first-person shooter, but you can use the light gun with it. But it's not on rails. You have to effectively use the D-pad on the light gun. It's really weird way of doing it, but I actually find it easier just playing it with a controller. And I completed it with a controller, and you can complete it just fine. So, you know, if you don't have a light gun, it's not the end of the world. It's still worth playing. Then we have Virtual Tennis 2, which I believe is a port of a Dreamcast game, Virtual Tennis 2. Arcadey tennis game, really well made. Virtual Tennis, recommended. And you got an absolute classic, in my opinion, Capcom vs SNK 2. 2D fighter, it's basically Street Fighter versus King of Fighters. The original one was on a Dreamcast and a PS1. This came out on Xbox, GameCube, PS2. In fact, I actually also own the GameCube version of this because I do like this game. Really ought to do a GameCube video at some point at some time because I got quite a lot on the GameCube as well, but oh well. Yeah, very good game. Highly recommended. There's a Ryu on there. Is it Mayu from King of Fighters? Yeah. So yeah, definitely recommended. Next we got Ninja Assault from Namco. This is our on-rails light gun game. Basically set in like feudal Japan, but they have automatic weapons for some reason, which is kind of a bit odd. Yeah, it's okay. It's a light gun game. You can play it with a controller. I'm actually completed it with a controller as well, so it's alright. So we got Splashdown by Atari. Jesus. This is obviously a jet ski game. Similar to Wave Race on the N64 and the GameCube, but yeah, not quite as good. Yeah, it's alright. It's arcadey sort of jet ski racer doing jumps and time trials and that sort of thing. Worth noting, it's at £2. A lot of PS2 games, still very cheap. It is quite a decent collection. You know, if you're looking to get like a retro collection, PS2 stuff, most of it's still fairly well priced. We have Alpine Racer 3 from Namco. Skiing game. Oddly enough, the first two were arcade games and never got home ports. Because in the arcade it was like an actual pair of skis which you had slotted your feet in. Because I remember playing them. And you had to go through these little flags in a time limited. Yeah. Oddly enough, why we never ported the first two but the third one, I don't know. But yeah, this is pretty good fun. Well, skiing game, you know. And we got Tio Legends. This is a compilation of old, mostly 80s arcade games made by Tio. So yeah, you got Space Invaders, Rainbow Islands, Bubble Bubble, Operation Wolf. Yeah, this is a fun game. Again, depends how much you're into your retro stuff, but yeah, I didn't mind this. This was quite cool. And of course, they followed that up with Tio Legends 2, which probably slightly prefer because it's got a few more shmups on it, which I did like. Darius Gaiden, yeah, it's really good. Elevator Action Returns, Puzzle Bubble 2. yeah, some really good stuff in there. What else you got on there? Yeah, I'm just thinking whichever ones I recognise, yeah. Space Invaders DX, Violent Fight. Yeah, this one's pretty good. You got Crazy Taxi. If you've never played Crazy Taxi, I think it's originally it's an arcade machine. It came out on the Dreamcast, and then they ported it to everything else. Yeah, it's a really fun game. You basically get in a taxi, you pick people up and drive them to other parts of the city. The original version, this one, has The Offspring and Bad Religion, like two punk bands on a soundtrack. The later versions, I think because of copyright reasons, they took them off. But if you get the PS2 version, the GameCube version, or the Dreamcast version, it has the proper soundtrack to it. If you get the later ports, it doesn't. Whether that bothers you or not is up to you, but I just thought I'd mention it. Then we got Gran Turismo 3 A-Spec. It's quite a fun game. You never played Gran Turismo? I'm sure you probably have. It's a driving simulator. Yeah, you sort of earn money, buy better cars. The only thing I'd say about it slightly, it still didn't have damage on it, which a lot of games by the PS2 era were getting damage on racing games, and this didn't. But, you know, apart from that, still pretty good. Right, there's a couple of games now. Basically, I'm missing the boxes for those. They're around the house somewhere, but I don't know exactly where. But I've found a disc, so I'm just going to quickly go through each disc. Right, so this is Tekken 4. Yeah, it's alright, probably one of the weaker Tekkens. But yeah, it's not too bad. Tekken, what more can you say? Far better is Tekken 5. I just prefer the way this game looks or where it plays. It's just a nicer game. Also worth noting, you also get Tekken 1, Tekken 2 and Tekken 3, the arcade versions, as bonus content in this game. And I believe you can also unlock Starblade, the old Namco arcade game, as an extra. So you're getting quite a lot of content of that. I wish I kept the box of that as well. And you got Capcom Classics Collection, which load of old Capcom arcade games again. You got on there, I just don't remember now. Final Fight's on there, I think. I think Mercs is on there. Commando 1942. So yeah, lots of old like 80s and early 90s Capcom arcade games. True Crime New York City. Sort of a GTA clone. It's okay. Oddly enough, I thought I had GTA San Andreas and GTA Vice City on the PS2. I swear I had them, and I've been making this video, and I cannot find them anywhere. So, if they were, I'd say they're both great games. This is alright, but they are not here for some reason. So, you know, I'm sure they're about somewhere. Then we got Ridge Racer 5, or Ridge Racer V. Yeah, this is alright. Probably prefer Ridge Racer 4, or RType 4 on the PS1, but yeah, this is nice enough. I think this is a launch game as well. And we got Vampire Knight, which best described as House of the Dead with vampires instead of zombies is probably the best way I could describe that game. Fun enough, light gun game, it's alright. Right, a few more. Next, we got Wipeout Fusion. Wipeout, sort of futuristic-y weapons racing game. A lot of fun. Maybe not the best version, the PS2 version. I think there's another one on the PS2 later on. But yeah, this was quite good. WRC, another rally game. It's fine. I think Colin McRae is probably slightly better, but this was fine. Didn't mind it too much. Res. If you've never played Res, it's really difficult getting to describe. I think it was on a Dreamcast originally and got ported to a PS2. It's sort of an on-rails, a bit like Space Harrier with a bit of Panzer Dragoon mixed in, but it gets a little bit surreal as well, and it has kind of a cool, like, housey, trancey soundtrack. It's one of those games you really got to play it to really get what it's about, but yeah, it's a fun game. Still Dragons EX. This is a shmup or 2D shooter. Yeah, it's okay. I think this has a different name in Japan. I can't remember exactly what it is, but yeah, it's okay. Again, shmup. I don't even pronounce that. Sylvinia? I don't know. Slycine? Christ knows. Yeah, again, another 2D shmup. It's a pretty good game, it's fair enough. Frequency. This is sort of a rhythm game. We have these sort of lines and you have to press the buttons in order, in time with the music. It's kind of, I think it was the same people who made Rock Band a couple of years later. It's almost like a weird predecessor to Rock Band, if that makes sense. Right, and last of all, we have a Street Fighter Alpha Anthropology. This has Street Fighter 1, rephrase that. It has Street Fighter Alpha 1, Alpha 2, and Alpha 3. And has a game called Pocket Fighter as well, which is like a cutesy remake of Street Fighter 2. Yeah, this is a really good game. Again, wish I had a box for it somewhere, but yeah, this is definitely worth getting. So yeah, that is my PS2 collection. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't know what console I'm going to do next, so I've got to decide that. But anyways, whatever I do, see you next time.